I always told myself I was going to go back. And so I got the bright idea to ride across the country as if that would somehow make things better.
You can get down to the beach that way, or we can also go right down this trail through the shrubs.
Kind of funny, her being by herself in a small town like this. She's a nice lady, isn't she?
Gosh, I haven't done this in ages.
Why not?
I mean, is this for real? Because I'm getting extremely excited.
You're the first person I've ever told about my daughter. I haven't seen her in 30 years.
What if I went out there with you?
What would I say to her?
Hello?
Hi.
Molly, can you go inside, sweetie?
So maybe next time you call first.
You got me coming around again. Much to my surprise, you got me coming.
What if I'm the same person?
Just don't be. I came down here so I could have a better life.
So now you're just determined to keep this place going come hell or high water.
He's come a long way, across the country, to find you.
You don't look the way I remember you.
Time plays tricks, huh? I'm trying really hard.
I can't imagine what it's been like for you. I'd like you to stay with me.
I'd have to know I was moving towards something, not away from it.
You look awful.
Thanks.
Yeah, in the car. Love it.
I'm in the
How are
truck out in the woods.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, man? Or did you
Good.
say what? I'm so sorry. We're doing a little logging job out here.
Oh, is that how you make a living?
You know, I have a hardwood company with this friend of mine, and it's.
I was kidding, but you do.
No, I know, but it's a great ancillary. I actually have a little trucking company and a hardwood company, and what I love is like staying busy is so critical in life. And
Amen.
you know, and there's so much of an element of the film and television industry, which is you're waiting for someone to tell you if you're cool or valuable or not, or if you're worthy of work. And so if you can get your own side stuff going,
Right.
You don't care. And then conversely, it probably helps you get gigs because you don't have that aura of hanging, like, I'm sitting over here. Am I cool?
A whiff of desperation.
The whiff of
Wait,
desperation.
do you have your own production company or anything, or do you
Well,
have you thought about that?
that's always a bit of a
Yeah.
funky one, right? Because most people do just in terms of an S corporation, but yeah, I've only done one. I did a movie with this guy Orion Williams that we produced, and it was our company called Raya, and I'm getting more into screenwriting, and I wrote Danny Trejo's forthcoming autobiography for Simon and Schuster called Trejo. His kind of redemptive life story, which was really a fun experience.
Are you,
So
wait,
it's
so you wrote a biography of Danny Trejo,
It's
or
his
you
memoir.
ghost wrote his autobiography? Which one?
It's his memoir.
Okay.
So
but you
what it
helped him-
is yes, you have to, there's that, you do the interviews and all that stuff, but then there's that big,
Yeah.
if you just wrote transcription down, it has to have that sense in a prose structure, it has to have this narrative structure, and it has to be, it's his book, it's his story, it's his words, and he's the greatest storyteller. But we had to work on this thing for a couple of years. It was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome
Interesting.
experience.
I'm going to get back to that because I'm going to tie what you're saying about Danny Trejo's redemption story or search for redemption with the story of the film.
Sure.
You maybe can anticipate where I'm going, but I
Yeah.
have to start by saying one thing. I have a 16-year-old who, when I told him I was getting Donal Logue on my show, he flipped out because
Cool.
he,
In a good way, I hope.
in the best way. Yeah. Well, I knew he would, because we would watch he saw Gotham, and then he asked me to watch Gotham a second time with him.
Wow.
So we watched it together, and
Yeah.
so I knew he was going to get a huge. I've been wanting, by the way, I've been wanting to meet you, if we can call this meeting, before Gotham. I mean, before we were watching that. Anyway, going back to Dow with Steve or earlier, but but it just gives me, it's another little level of a perk for me to be able to bring somebody I know my son's gonna. His name is
That
Jacob,
is so cool.
and he's such
I
a
know
fan of yours.
Oh, that's so awesome. Tell him hello. And there is nothing cooler about this job than doing a job. And I know, speaking of Danny Trejo, when he did Spy Kids and then Dora the Explorer,
Oh, sure. Right. Of course.
The kick he got out of doing something that children watched. And I know when I did Grounded for Life and it was on ABC Family after it'd been syndicated and it was on when school got out. And it was so cool just to have a generation of young people who know you from that, and what a kick this is. I do think the DC and Marvel universes, the fandom is so awesome that to have a thumbprint in those worlds, it means a lot because it means so much to the people who follow them. And you go to comic conventions or something. I haven't been to too many, but there is such a passion. My friend Quayle said, what it is all of us want something that we can kind of feel devoted to. And then it unites us with the people who feel devoted to it in that certain way. I just love that it was like this safe space for people to fly this, without any self-referential embarrassment or anything. It's just, this is the nerd flag. This is the stuff I like. And for me, I know growing up in The Escapist, I think for me, primarily in that kind of realm, it was Lord of the Rings, the books. And I just could not wait. I couldn't wait to dive into them. Yeah. I couldn't wait for the class to be over so I could start reading again so.
I'm there. There was those books and the Dune books were my favorites. I read a bunch of those too.
The first Dune book I wasn't a sci-fi guy. My friend Randy Carson was like, read this. Mm-hmm. And it changed me. Frank Herbert. Yeah. That's so awesome.
I know. I want to be able to, I do want to make sure we talk about sometime other than now, which is
I'll tell you. I want to go into how it started kind of for me was, I got Dylan McCormick, who wrote and directed it, reached out to me, and we met in Venice, at Venice Beach at this little cafe, and we were talking. And when I read the script, I don't want to
know each other, or are you saying he just recognized you?
He knew me, and I was the person that they were targeting or whatever for this thing, and he felt like I was a good fit for the role, and so I had this kind of this script really spoke to me emotionally as a father or as a guy who knew a lot of people in this kind of similar predicament, and the redemptive, it's never too late to make the right choice at some point, in life. And
exactly.
And then Dylan said, that my wife is Greer Goodman, which I didn't. And Greer co-wrote The Tao of Steve. Greer played Sid in The Tao of Steve. And so I said, Dylan, this is so crazy because this movie, even aside from the part that here's a guy that jumps on a motorcycle from New Mexico and heads east, this movie is a 20-year bookend of my life from The Tao of Steve to sometime other than now. And I knew that Greer got married after The Tao of Steve and had kids. And I didn't know Dylan was her husband, and what a phenomenal guy and what a sweetheart. And then they brought on, Kate Walsh and Trieste Dunn and Amy Hargraves.
Trieste is a friend here. I'm on the East Coast. I'm a little north of the city, but Trieste is somebody who I've known over years now, and her boyfriend.
She's such a great,
unbelievable. Yeah, she's a
great spirit, great soul, talented and wonderful. And we did the movie, and it's supposed to take place in some kind of nondescript New England coastal town, but we were in Greenport, Long Island on the North Fork.
Oh, okay.
Which I'd never really been to. And I'd been to, I think, a zillion years ago. I've been to Fire Island, and I have never been to the Hamptons proper. And Oh my God, this was just such a phenomenal experience to be. I love Long Island, I have to say.
As a
Long
result,
Island, to say.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's an odd place. It has different whole. I mean, you can go from one extreme to another in a matter of miles. I mean, you know, it's like one of those kind of places because of the,
yeah.
you know, and that has a lot of history to it. But
It was kind of creepy out there because there's Plum Island. I don't know if you know Plum Island, but it's
yeah.
referenced in Silence of the Lamb. It's where the lambs.
Oh,
It's
yes.
where it's where they do the animal testing and anthrax stuff, and you know, and if people that work out there, they have to go through 9 stages of decontamination, including burning all of their clothes, and it's creepy. But there it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, after a lot of logging, you might have to burn all your clothes too.
Possibly. Yeah, I had a
but...
tick on my head yesterday, and then yeah, poison oak is pretty bad out here right now. So, but
what region are you in? Just so...
I'm in southern Oregon near.
Oh, you are? Okay.
On the Rogue River near Crater Lake National Park. So.
Wow. I wanted to, you know, one thing I was thinking about the film, but what really kind of like stands out is the what sticks with me is this point of where you get to you make this decision in your life, a mistake sometimes, often, or however you arrive there, and you just sort of really can't emotionally or otherwise get past it. It's like where you're stuck. And you know, this guy that you're playing, who's his name is Sam, right?
Yep.
He just obviously never could kind of reconcile the choice he made at that time. And so, you know, which is that he had left his family.
Yeah. I think it's, you know, I've known people in that scenario, and I think that really resonated, that weird thing where like, how? And they say, look, it's such a deep, dull, thumping ache that you want to throw up about, and then somehow over time it just kind of recedes, and the thought of it doesn't have the same sharp point, but it's always there.
Sometimes the duller point duller thing is almost worse.
Yes, absolutely.
That duller nagging, that's always kind of nagging at you, you know. Yeah,
that nagging thing. And then there's that weird thing too, which is sometimes parents who have abandoned children, etc., they have, I've found it's this weird kind of economy sometimes where the abandoning parent is the one who's kind of forgiven, and the absent parent is the kind of one who's adored, and the one who has to hang out and do the hard lifting is the one who the kids can sometimes resent too. It's so horrible, right? Because they are the ones who, the responsibility of being a parent, of which I'm a parent, I'm a single dad, and man, it's a lot, you know. Yeah, so mine are 20 and 22 this month, and they're awesome. They're down in LA right now, and they're able to like be like, Dad, you can go do what you gotta do, and
that is,
we'll be good. But yeah, parenting, wow. And I always feel like there's this weird thing where for people who don't have children, etc., it's this strange thing where there are people who are judgmental about it, like, oh, you don't have kids, you can't know, right?
Yes.
But there's an element of truth to that where it doesn't mean that your well is deeper or anything. It's if you don't have children, God bless you. That's awesome. And that's your choice, you know. And if you do, you know the responsibility that comes with it. It's just, what it means is you just live, there's a different kind of hillside that you're living on where your heart is so exposed to the most pain that it could ever be exposed to in parenting. It's so beautiful, and it's so intense. Yesterday I had this terrible experience where I'm cleaning up my log house up here, my log cabin, and there was a closet where I found a bunch of baby mice without their mother, and they were dying. And then in that closet, there was a bunch of photographs of my kids when they were babies. and their mom, and it's this, and all of a sudden these babies, I was like, I've got to try and, they're babies in this world without their mama. They're not just critters or rodents. And anyway, they passed over the night, which was a terrible experience. And I feel super guilty about it, but you know what I'm saying. It's just, what I loved about this was it's never too late to make the right choice. Never too late. And that's the Danny Trejo's book. The central tenet and theme is that it is never too late. It is not where it start, it's how you finish. You know,
Well
Danny
said.
was in prison. Danny was in prison through his 20s. He didn't start acting until he was 40 years old. He's 76. He's almost 77.
Right.
You know, and he's a force of nature, an amazing guy, but mostly he helps people. And he hopes that his career would always amplify what he hopes to be God's message of, we are here to help each other, quite simply. And so, God, working on this book with him was just such a humbling and experience. I'm so grateful for the opportunity, you know.
Well, it's interesting how these two things have aligned, and they're both stories kind of redemption and making right with your life. You know, but that's a powerful kind of thing, you know. And
Danny, you know, talks about, and this is for me too, the hardest, the most important job that we all have is as a parent. And, you know, sometimes there were times where absolutely my career came into direct conflict with my ability to be an effective, loving, present parent.
Oh, wow.
And my kids might even say, listen, Dad, I know you were always there. I know you flew back as much as you could. I know you, but you weren't always there. You know, there were these stretches of time where I was like, doing Vikings in Ireland or Ghost Rider in Australia. And, you know, and especially during Gotham, where I was with my kids, it was just the three of us in Brooklyn, but the hours are really long, and they really need that.
Right.
You got to be present. You know,
you carry that around.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're still carrying that around.
Well,
not that I intended this to be a confrontation.
No, absolutely.
Or
but
a therapy conversation.
No, not at all. It's not even,
okay.
and it doesn't, it is what it is. Like, I don't feel, I was doing what I had to do I was always trying to honor my obligations in every which way possible. And what's awesome is that my kids and I we can talk about it. There's no conversation that we can't have. And I think that's that's hopefully where Sam in this movie is going with his daughter and his granddaughter, you know?
Right. I mean, you'd say it's interesting. It is a love story too. You know, you meet cute with Kate Walsh, who is adorable, and you actually have a pretty strong chemistry. And but it's also a love story about, you know, you and your daughter, and rediscovering that relationship, and then
Kate helping me,
being able to forgive yourself.
And then Kate helping me to be the one. You know, I don't know if it's not for her character, if there's her character Kate, if it wasn't, would be possible. Because here's a guy that's used to taking the easy way out, feeling bad about it, but just somehow swallowing that dull, aching pain and moving on. And here was someone who said, listen, this is something you have to walk through. And I'll help you, but I can't do it for you, you know? And Kate was, I knew of Kate, of course, through her work. And also she's really good friends with Amy Brenneman and some other really good friends of mine, but I didn't know just how spectacular a human being she was until we met. And then it was immediate. You know, she's so funny. She has 7.2 times the normal energy of any human being. Like, she is just a force of nature in the best possible way. And she, you know, there's also that weird thing, and I've felt it a few times acting, but you're watching someone, you're doing a scene with them, and they're doing this thing, and you go, wow, that is why they're so good. They make so many difficult things seem so natural, so conversational. Yeah, she's just a great, she's a great actor. And we were living in that little motel that we filmed in, the Sunset Motel.
Oh, really?
And yeah, so when we were working a lot of hours, but when we were at lunch or something, Kate and I would just go in the ocean, you know. And I was like, what a it's just a great life. Like, I feel blessed to meet the people I've met and
Yeah.
get to tell these little stories, you know, as hokey as that sounds, but it's just true.
I think I related her to her character the most because she plays a Kate. I don't know how they arrived at that character's name, but it's Kate Walsh.
I think
playing
it
her.
was just happenstance. It
Me
was.
too. Probably was.
It was actually in the
But,
script, and you know, there were, yeah.
I related because she's at a point in her life where, you know, I'd love to fall in love. Obviously she dug your Sam a lot. She had a big crush, and she was making it very obvious that she was interested in some, you know, pursuing something.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she was like, look, I'm content.
Yeah.
I don't need this. I would like it, but I don't need it. And I relate to that being at my place right now. I think we're roughly maybe in the same age range. And I just feel like at this point, hopefully that's the case, where it would be really nice, but you know, I can move. I have my own life here. You know what I mean? I'm just doing okay. You know, I'm okay with struggle.
That's the healthiest thing in life, because otherwise,
you're it's not going to work.
Independent machine. Like, you have to have, your computer has to run on its own operating system, spiritually, etc. And if you need someone else to be like, but I need you, man, I feel I have such strong feelings about this. Also because I have children, and for me, I wasn't very good when their mother and I split up. I never really found something else, and I didn't want to be, and it's not fair in some ways, but I wasn't going to be the guy that was like, all right, kids, you're going to learn to love Betty. Okay. She's your mom. Like, or that thing where they're like, you're not my mom, or you're not my dad, you know? And so, like you said, I became very comfortable with the trio that was me and my two kids. And I love that about her character, that she's like, listen, man, if this is cool, it's cool, but I don't need it. And I love that feeling, like we don't really owe each other. I always bristle at that kind of thing when people are like, we spent these years together and you owe me. Like, what do people owe me? If someone's not in love with me, thank you for telling me that. I can't force you to love me or want to dedicate your life to me. And it's not necessarily healthy. And if you don't, what a gift it is to be able to tell someone, like, I just don't, you know, I've seen people who are like, that person just told me that they fell out of love and it's so horrible and they're so terrible. And it's like, well, what's the other side of this, that they just keep it inside and don't love you and just pretend, or, you know,
right.
Relationships are hard as hell, and I'm super unsuccessful at them. So
I'm right there with you.
You know,
don't know how people do it.
I'm not a fully healed and whole, you know, I'm just, for two people to come together in a really adult way and just go, all of it's not rainbows, and it's hard, and you have to work through things, and it's not about me changing you to make you, you know, when someone's like, I made him or her. Yeah, when I first met them, they were like this, but I trained him or I fixed him. And like, that is so nuts. Like, we have to just learn how to accept people. And I see those types of partnerships, and I marvel at them, because I do think two people together can really accomplish so much when they're in that harmony, as, first of all, best friends, and not, you know, not enemies. Where they're like in a relationship but jealous or controlling, and that weird kind of thing where
or set somebody up on a you know, like on a throne, or a, you know, like setting somebody up on some sort of this impossible place where they can't achieve all, you know, you anyway, you know,
where else would they go? You know,
exactly right, exactly. Donal Logue, it's a new film. It's called Sometime Other Than Now.
Mm-hmm.
It's directed by Dylan McCormick.
We veered into all kinds of conversational tangential.
That's what I do.
Always,
That's how I like it. I
Yeah.
can do an hour, easily do an hour or two. I mean, obviously, but I don't want to interrupt the logging. You know, I mean, I know you're there. You got a job to do. And well, let's just mention the film is opening in theaters, which sounds nice coming out of my mouth, and on demand tomorrow, March 5th. As we record this, it's March 4th. And so, and it's a small film. It's a classic indie film, festival film. You know, I enjoyed it. It was just like, you know, did what it's supposed to do. Made me feel good too.
Good. Yeah, I remember reading the script, and there's a particular poignant moment in it where he knocks on a door and tries to run away, and that was the one that stopped me when I was reading it. I'm like, oh my God, that's the moment. And yeah, and like you said, it harkens back to, you know, every job like Gotham is very arched and theatrical, and every job requires a different kind of thing. But I was like, I really miss doing, I had done so many kind of at the height of that era of the indies in the 90s.
Yes,
yeah, so many
that's right.
of them. And
that's what I associate you with originally. And you know, that's
really
kind of like the heart.
it.
I've had a lot of those people on my show over the years, and it's in a way because that's when I discovered cinema on my own, apart from my parents. You know, they brought me up. I got to see all the great, you know, 70s filmmakers like the Sidney Lumets and the Coppolas, and the European filmmakers. But when I, as a young man in my mid to late 20s, started discovering cinema, was the birth of that, you know, the American indie.
Yeah,
like when you and Kevin and Steve Buscemi and all you guys, you know, started.
And you're talking about Kevin Corrigan, of course.
Kevin Corrigan, who's a pal, and
amazing guy.
Kevin's over here in New York, so I you know, he goes on my Instagram, and
I miss being in New York. I miss last I saw Kevin was we were in downtown Brooklyn, kind of near Fort Greene, my old neighborhood. And we just had that kind of endless afternoon coffee that just I could sit with Kevin Corrigan till we're in our golden years. You know, I love that man so much, and he's so talented. He truly is. He's next level. He breathes some kind of like different life and perspective into. He's never not eye-opening where you're like, wow, that was just a line, man. But however, whatever you just did told multitudes, you know. And what was it, Walking and Talking, and Nicole
Holofcener.
Holofcener. Oh my, what a genius she is. God, she's amazing. But thank you so much, man.
It's a blast.
Maybe we'll catch up on the East Coast at some point.
That'd be delightful.
I think I'm coming.
No, I'd love it, and I'd love to. Yeah, I'll you know, I'll connect with you somehow, and we'll do something again, and it'll be really nice. Awesome. You know, Kevin, because he is one of a kind.
He's one of a kind.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you so much. It
was nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you. Have a great day, and tell your son thank you again.
He'll really appreciate that. I will.
Oh, that's I wish we were still doing it and he could come down to the set.
And he's in Brooklyn. I mean, that's I mean, he's right now in
Los Angeles.
He's in Los Angeles with his mom, who's an actor. Coincidentally, but he goes to school at the Brooklyn High School of the Arts, which is in not just blocks from Fort Greene. Actually, it's just right by the Atlantic Center, that area, the arena. And
when I moved from Clinton Hill, I moved to that exactly where that high school was, into a building called the Hub, the tallest residential building right downtown, right by the Barclays Center and stuff like that. But I do miss Brooklyn. So
yeah,
but you know, the woods are pretty awesome.
I know, that's why I'm living up here in the Hudson Valley for a while now. I'm just enjoying it. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
I'll catch you later, man. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, Adam.